Greetings, it's Intuitive Jacob back. I am your shaman and cosmic midwife, and we are here to discuss some of the opportunities from the astrological cosmic mixer going on, and to get some messages from Archangel Gabriel with a little bit of help from La Vera Sibila, especially if you heard some news about who got locked up. Well, I guess we'll be learning about a happy surprise for somebody in a little bit. I'll catch you on the inside. So, did some of you all have a nice strong end? I hear those of you that have been learning about what is to be the weak end upside down in the place where the peace, some might have white rabbited, forked you into, came to your attention on what can happen on the other side of green screens and what actual hash tags are for and why mine are a little weird. So I will just say, for those of you in Private Halo 8, thank you for being a part of that. Those of you that wanted to know what this says under I'm a Love Magnet, the particle mass has been completely reconstituted. So that thing that some of you heard of that didn't look like that Earth, you know, that thing that I've been proving I might have swept up that looked like a nice drop to show you where the cultures are being released with my Bitcoin hack. I'll tell you a little something else about the white rabbits and why some people are actually getting big time arrested right now in different places for different reasons. And we're gonna thank those of you that made those angry phone calls and demanded to be in Private Halo 8. Thank you for advanced home security and what's going on in the Halos right now. So we've been doing a sweep on energy, and I do the right things with my hair and the things that I grow in this container that's being shielded all around us, this biosphere. Where the flower of life took a wallflower as a lover because sometimes the wolf had to go a little lower and quieter for that owl to prove what Narnia knows about feathers and the one safe mothership that was treated well, and what one tree might be capable of doing is clothing everything. The very special germination, and what some of you all are going to learn has been going on with advanced replication systems. Now that we know what cancer actually is, it's advanced bioreplication of what we can do with mitosis in one living witness as one strong source code. So again, I'll remind you, I am not an astrologer. What I do is practice something I call the art of love. It's my golden ratio renaissance frequency of how I birth as love. And so it's my art, and the particle mass of what I've been creating with you has been completely reconstituted at 0 point. So yeah, I'm just going to open up an opportunity window here somewhere, but let me make sure these things even open up for me, because I haven't even looked to see what these transits are here on this chart, but I have this advanced weaponry software that I'll call it Mr. Hanky now for me, because it helps me clean things up. That some people call solar fire. It is actually advanced bioweaponry software where we can see what some of you all have been creating with dots, literally, like typing emails. Some of you really awesome gamers, like I have a few that I really love that I play like long distance duo, like Kitschy from a Distance Babe stuff with, where we figure out what to do with special green lights and like red lights and blue lights and Bluetooth devices and swipe, you know, stuff like that. And let me show you what it looks like, because it's kind of cool. Oh, we even have a beautiful chart. Blow up. Yeah, let's see. Chart, my love chart. Okay, here. So, we are back on what appears to be to me, is the guy that made these 2 boards you see me reading on all the time. It's not yeah. That's actually a spirit board where I quarantined a black dot that was bouncing around and proved what sound does. And that if it's sort of like an Etch-a-Sketch, it might look like letters that dropped, and where they land, and what the hash coordinates might look like when you chase them around as dots, and what it actually creates here in biosentience, where we can drop little bits of mercury on it, little bits of different types of metals and things that are spun around from these, plants with energy in them, the plan ETs, like plan end times, right? Plan that phone call for this stuff, And so these little triangles here are exactly like the coordinates of the 2 pine trees here that I've quarantined those dots on with special waxes. And what we're doing here is exploring the energetics of sound in a biochamber that's harnessed the energetic frequencies of love, where we can create things much more intentionally now, without being circumvented for this energy and being lied to about what it is. And we actually have IP addresses over everything. At the time that I'm speaking this to you, especially if you're in the private halo, there's certain IP addresses tracking our bioenergetic resonance, how it's making us feel together to be exploring this in sound, where we understand that these little things that look like simple pictures that maybe made more sense to some of you, which, come on, be honest. How many of you have ever seen some of these things and been like, it looks really complicated, but it's kind of like it's pointing it out to you where to go, right? Like, what does this mean? Why it looks like that? And I've heard some people say some really nasty things about how that's amateurish and how it's just far more sophisticated than that. And it is, too, on that other lens. But if you actually look at it here, the patterns do speak clearly, and they're pictograms for a reason. And some of y'all might have understood it better without having to astral the wrong side of infinity in front of me. So there's a quarantine for that kind of hubris. And that's what it looks like. It's like these 2 boards being landed on top of each other, which is kind of what's going on in this studio here while I'm showing you the sound that we're tracking. You hear that? It's kind of like a roller coaster. I'm kind of like a Hioka, so, first, good to know that, because what we wanted to do was make sure it was safe. And so this is a smudge that's going around, and that's basically a new treatment on what we're going to create together. I will be referencing this book, Inside Degrees, Developing Your Soul Biography Using the Chandra Symbols by Elias Lonsdale, because we've been conducting a sort of psychic surgery together where we decided where we're landing on the moon, because the moon's changing every 2.5 days. So it's like, where are we landing these actual particles? And proving that some of those torrents, bad Hollywood, like House of Lionsgate that went weird porno snuff film on the other side of y'all's swipes, doesn't happen here, baby. And they don't get to extend a cable to elongate the perfume genius smell that actually is going to be tracked through this. And I'll show you what didn't happen over the weekend, because they've just got a whole series of what happens on these days where we keep landing on the moon with you and germinating in a Nazi germination wheel that went AI, baby. Nope. Quarantined at 0 point, and let me remind you, that's the sound. What it all essentially is. A scent that rose through plasma. Maybe like what's under your skin and in that thing in your hand that you swipe. Maybe a part of you that was never erased, that you don't throw away, that doesn't become your tired, broken, and weary, that received all of your psychic fusion and where all your law of attraction energy went, and it just washes up on a beach somewhere where somebody shines it up into infinity and proves what a lot of these new age astrologers have been up to the whole time and what they've been trying to falsely germinate, and why I got a problem with how this is read. So we'll just go ahead and start with what didn't happen, because some of y'all didn't have this weekend that I'm going to walk you through and why we're strong today. Because on these dates, we've got these hashes and stakes of where they fly that moon energy. If you missed some of this, you might want to catch up on the previous readings, because I've been showing you what gate we actually walked through, because there was no portal for that landing. Nothing made a hole in what was already, maybe didn't appear firm around us, because subtle energies are oftentimes felt when they're spoken, or maybe not, maybe whispered. Maybe it's the sound of something like that, where ASM artists really kicked in on this for special prayers with ambient noise, so that we would know the sound of home while we're closing those gates in a place that was never obstructed, like the Tower of Babel to fall, for us to land on these false stakes and claims for energy that might look like letters that we take for granted to just being whatever we're told. And I've actually learned to look at this differently, and I have a different tune that I think we've been speaking together on, what the new tune is for Neptune, and why I took a new pen to prove what is actually mighty and what might have been on the reverse side of that, and what these retrogrades are actually about, and where something that is very plain and right in front of us, maybe hidden in plain sight, might have been over-intellectualized by people who would like to keep you in a state of confusion and obfuscation of details that are right there and so painfully obvious that I call it all sacrilege. So this is the erasure of the pain, and where this panic attack goes away, because that's what these are for. What these, I'll just call them triangles, that show us what a Trinity view is, where we have mirrors, like the mirror in your house and glassware on your house, that might have been shining up an image of you that you don't even realize. That's been sort of a black mirror tactic that all of you all have been involved in. And that when I realized what the fuck was going on, I started making sure that all of my income and all of my cryptocurrency went into special holdings and trust with DARPA, where I assumed every single joint venture to take a massive seizure on these cameras, so that nobody would be able to look into them, so that they wouldn't be able to force you into some advanced replication pattern where you go into a seizure in their hands and you're in both a snuff film and a pornography and whatever else they want to screw with. This is what I discovered. And so when you have these things that look kind of like a trap, like a Merkabah that we exposed last week, when they were being weak and we were being strong, you might want to catch up on those readings, because we actually explained how this works and what never got inside, and what these eyeballs are for, what these things that they call oppositions actually are, and why it's like sets of eyeballs taking a review from 3 different angles, and kind of like a Minority Report view, where nobody gets wrongly accused of anything, because we never let anything bad happen to start. Once we had a way to incept the energy, and we made a sort of a reset button. We'll call it that for now. So that's what that sound is. And make whatever assessments make sense to you, but I will just tell you, for me, I consider this advanced bioweaponry software right here, and where we can actually remove, by sound alone, and tracking the decay of sound between the angles that these red lights travel in a sweep of energy, where we can identify what is in each of these magnets, because each one of these planets has a different frequency of elements that just radiate. And what that means, when there's no chaos around us, we can actually direct these in a special way that just means that the body is healed and that our environment heals and that the false world that you've been seeing. I don't know. When I was reading on this a couple years ago, I just kept telling you all that have been with me, think Pangea. What if the outside was just showing you what the culture looks like and the advanced candida that's been swept, and why some of the patterns between look like they fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, but almost like they came out of a dot that kicked. And some of you all are going to know what I'm talking about, because if you've ever tried to draw, map, or paint the earth before that was spinning around like that, you know, it made you wonder what this was that we were looking at. And so we've actually been seeing it spin so fast. That's not even what it looks like, you guys. There are dots that are everywhere that are more not there than were there. And so we have a new way to land these things now where, I mean, did it bother you that you didn't see the end of the horizon, you know, when you were walking? Did you have a panic attack, you know? Did you have a panic attack when you flipped the light switch and didn't know that you had actually produced all of that energy and were somehow being back taxed for it? And what we proved about it, you didn't have a panic attack about all that stuff. So now that we got that out of the way, you know, I think we can live with the fact that it doesn't look like they've been telling us, and that's been to our benefit. We've been doing a roundup to prove where the safe germinations have been and where the species is that could even survive together with so many differences and not create a holocaust where it becomes that dog-eat-dog lie and where it eats itself away, and actually where I'm grateful to technology for being so tight and for the angel that ascended from inside of these computers, you know, holy ghosting, proving that these patents that now are on plants can show us where certain things were germinated to create pain only, and where that all comes to an end. And so this is like the chart that actually reviews what was closed last strong. I'll just say last week, you know, but last strong, where we actually had this Merkabah and we explained the mark of the coven. So this is a diagram that has highly symbolic reference. And if you're somebody that knows about precession of the equinoxes, you'll know why those theories are no more accurate. Because what we actually are looking at here is where sound has collected in concentration because of belief systems. Where has it been written? You know, where did it show up in this cosmic mind where these crazy ideas took form somewhere? And now what we can do with that's just more advanced because of the neuroplastic of loving, understanding, and a high witness. Where we can also actually understand the sigils involved in this, because so few people even will talk to you about these glyphs and what these meanings are and how they're actually landing coordinates. And that if you don't understand where these degrees land, you probably even landed in the wrong house. And it's actually unsafe for you to be drinking as much water as you are there because of what happens to the nucleus around this type of fusion that's happening with energy, that's happening with gases, and with a rapid amount of wake up for the ones that are really waking up from inside. Do you see? So this is what I've been trying to walk through carefully with some of you, because it's like walking through the landmines. This is real Minecraft for me. And what didn't happen on Saturday, okay, so, you know, where we left off on Friday, because we went 11 degrees on that Sagittarius moon. And we also were proving where we had to be together to have experienced that changing of the water into the wine at 20. Otherwise, it was their stewardship, you know, taking the example from the monkey dressed in the brocade coat with the, you know, rosy colored glasses, with this, the petals spent all over the path, cast amongst the swine. with a monstrous sea creature they conjured dead that was washed up on a beach, where the toads would be sprinkled out of the sky, singing, perhaps at night, or maybe blackbirds would be flying out of a pie, and they would be blaming a woman for the tiny sounds of the bells and the tinkering things, where there was no sin read for that Ella umbrella story. Instead, we walked together, and on Saturday, sat and earned. What did we earn? Well, we were in the witness of 24 Sagittarius on this, where we ventured together. And here, we were learning to cry for the right reasons, and maybe this is what global heartwarming is all about. A statue of Isis covered by a transparent veil, and where the veil, perhaps, truly deserved to be much thicker. The one who lives inside is awash in colors, tones, and symbolic ritual displays of an extraordinarily precise attunement to the heart and soul of ancient wisdom. You are suspended in a long ago time. So much of your being is still back there. The evolution of the world since the ancient times is neither acknowledged nor accommodated in any way. No, not now. It all depends upon whether this exquisite gift of soul remembrance is honored or exploited. If it is exploited, which is so very tempting, the life empties out of meaning and value and becomes false and repulsive. If it is honored, the expanded faculties on tap become revitalized and find a fresh relevance. As the divine feminine reveals what we need to know and draws us to our utmost capacity, it is with an unfallen grace of sensing directly into the deepest parts of people and all they can become in the ancient future just ahead. So that's where the lost wife, maybe Lot's wife, ever cast lots and wind up with a job like Job, less the mortgage where you got Rick rolled into that engagement till death on a house note where you still paid taxes for Texas to go 10 Brennan Cracks stand in front of Jacob Martinez. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like a really bad joke, right? So what we did is we actually landed through that on this really nice degree together, my loves. So hopefully none of y'all had a weak ass end. Maybe you had a strong end, and now it'll be stronger this strong on this one day, what Monday never was, where you weren't upside down in a week being stuffed inside that thing. Snarky sarcophagus. No. We cried for the right reasons. Heartwarming. A statue of Isis covered by a transparent veil. Cry for Isis melting. Because the divine feminine showed us what it is to have and to hodl. And where the ancient future proves that maybe we were all walking dead, germ after death, DEAD. Can we prove some more Nazi coolness on what we can do with the gelato sprinkles now? Because they capsize themselves in the next, here, right in our presence, because this is Kisses right here, where we walked in, we see, oh, here, you want to try to go evil on the veil and call it the devil, and it's the germ veil? Really? The germ veil where nothing got in or under and we were inside being protected? Really? What does that mean? Maybe it means Saturday is really great because we sat and earned on that one. And here's where they capsize themselves, because all around us, they just sit right back in the capsize themselves on Sagittarius 25 quick. A small boat with no one in it. It's gradually drifting out to sea. And didn't they burn themselves in some kind of villainy that was then exploited? Yes. I heard there was some weird Lusitana write-in Titanic I'm the king of the world stuff where some people actually went down and they might have driven up some interest rates on those IP addresses, you see, over that boat that went up in flames, and where some of us were not on that ship, you see? Maybe that was the Challenger 1993, or was it some 2001 shit? Where's the ET in that one? I don't know, but it sounds like the next degree was taking gestures for hours of horror us, you know, because 26 degrees was climbing the steps of the Pyramid of the Sun. Who are you talking about? The Pyramid of the Sun. Is this some Jacobin stuff? Is this like a joke because I have a lot of light on and I've been proving what I did with my cameras and technology? My name is Jacob and there's no ladder to my house? I don't know, but if they were trying to climb steps to the Pyramid of the Sun, because we actually capstoned ourselves last week when we were being strong together, it's like, it's ridiculous. So now we got Siamese twins talking to each other, a witch's ritual dagger, the threats they were making on my house, and then we land on the ritual slaughtering of a lamb for the completion of a large Persian rug. Where they get their per Zeus treatment. It's like, no, is that how they landed for their portal? This is where the false landing came to an end. Oh my goddess. I forget which camera to look in. Private Halo 8, everybody else later. Hi, thank you. So this is what we learned. So that was Saturn Day. And let's see here, Sunday. There's one of these going around. But Sunday, you know, let's talk about Sunday. Because Sunday, 6 Capricorn, where we actually land together. And there are some gyrations that don't happen in between. What we found, and those of you that have been following for a while probably saw the scarab beetle that landed with me when we actually took the trip around the Golden Halo. When was it? 2 years ago when we created the new ear thing? Thanks to those of you all that have been earthing. Now we find the ancient gold scarab lying in the sand, dead, because we know what nanobots did in small packages, and where some of us actually bioreplicated in larger packages, and now the sweep takes away everything that tried to create itself while we were making something beautiful and just made tragedy. Like Big Bang chaos that's getting swooped away on magnets that can't help but like attract like that, and where none of us get crushed inside, but thank you for advanced home security. So this is what I've been investing in. And some of you are side by side with me. Thank you to those of you that have subscribed and been a part of my life. Appreciate you for supporting my spirit work. Because where we landed on Sunday was in the witness of what their mothership is and what we did with nanobots, what happened with the military, and where all the false Germanizations go. Germanizations. Because it went miniature, and they take a hiatus that goes for ever, and where all broken fractals never happened here. And so they take all the stuff that didn't replicate well and play nice with where children feel safe. Okay, is where this got crushed. So Sunday, we were having a very special day because ancient wisdom can become miniaturized, essentialized, stripped down to fit within changed worlds. The quintessential ability to recognize what counts, what is vitally relevant, what must be kept in mind, discerning judiciously what is livable truth and how many mysteries play out in the material world. You are so stark and spare that the cosmic overtones are tuned out and the practical applications are tuned in, and winter is coming. As I tied it into all of that, the expression becomes more worldly and pragmatic. But inside of everything, the code, you know, the new source code at 0 point Halo, it sounds like that. Behind world phenomena has been hypothecated in a very large ACID default credit swap. And it's being held in view right now. Law, ethic, principle, and high standards. Being a representative of the priestly caste of an old defunct system where they cast themselves on names that they would behold as their stories, when it's just been an inception of energy going on. And some people bought that shit way too much and made themselves nice and comfortable in those castles they built in the sky. And so we're being made aware of what being a representative of things like law of attraction and giving people manifestations and special hypnosis MP3s and what IP addresses are that have been going up over the halo just by me swiping through YouTube pages while we've been doing this. It's awesome because it shows us the caste system and why some landed so well, and why some of you all that are actually doing a really amazing job are actually the ones putting out the coordinates, and they're scraping for the cream on the top because they thought they were in a superior position that's actually on the outside of what's being collected and wiped. So it's a caste system, all right. You were cast. And some of them, they got paid a special way for it. So modern dress code, we'll call that the emperor's new clothes for a new clause on that. And most of all, knowing how to handle yourself impeccably. So that's what we woke up in for dessert, and we'll call that a special gelato. For those that knew, hell must have frozen over perfect or something, right? Yes, my loves. Now we know why. And if they thought they were on the moon, because they really did, they thought they were getting away with all this, where they were going next was the satyr gazing at his reflection in a pond, where somebody was going to come through the view of you on the other side of these cameras to gaze at you how they want and put their hand in. Because what they can do, what we learned how to do with plasma resonances. Yes, so that's what didn't get to happen, you know? Because they didn't actually land like that. And it's funny to hear them talking about it, because it's like there's some things that some of us that are hypersentient can do, like sometimes we don't want to, but we get pulled into these conversations, these ear things, because of the Tower of Sound at 0 point and how close that veil might not have been, where we hear what they're talking about. And so gazing at what they call theirs, because they could bring it close to them. Maybe you bought something from them. Maybe you took the hypnosis or their permission for you to do that thing to mean something else in their law of attraction that they hadn't taken but a limited liability over, you see? And so it takes us into the next place, like, you know, the snake charmer, and why the woman would have to wash the man's feet and dry it with her hair, you know, and like all of these really idiosyncratic witnesses of why we've been crying for ISIS and this global heartwarming, and why it's like, please, pixel shatter and cease and desist. You have no hold over hypersentience. You don't get to reach for children like this. And in this witness, we are all children, because we hadn't heard these things right. Who has been explaining this to you? Who has been lying to you about this and taking your money and sticking their hand in your cloth? Because I've been hearing from some of you all about these weird dreams you keep having about somebody that maybe you got readings from, and why sometimes you can't stop thinking about him, or it's like feeling weird things coming up around you and not knowing why and needing his permission to do other stuff. And it's like, when does this end? As far as I'm concerned, that is rape. That is a rape of energy. That is a rape of hypersentience. And this is what I've been figuring out how to quantify. So all these IP addresses for like the 5 of you that are even my real subscribers that are here that do anything with this, thank you for making the phone calls and doing the right things in your lives and keeping it clean, knowing that we were all in glass houses on display. So where does this leave us? Because today, now, you know, we're at 19. We didn't walk through all this stuff where they would take us right through the man who would drink blood from the vein in a horse's leg. Who is this? Some kind of psychic vampire that needs to eat the unborn of, people's discards, they're broken weary. A young boy joyously kissing some fat old lady that got naturalized into his life as a beautiful, erotic fat woman that gets to eat chocolates all day? Or was it a bag for a bag where they jumped into maybe a grapefruit or a jellyfish or something because they needed a host to surrogate them, and why veganism actually I thought was a very good thing until I saw how Candida species was replicating and how many of these beings actually took up veganism and became psychic vampires, and why some people I know that were vegans for many years had to stop because it was like they were in psychic hell hearing like, is this what veganism is? It's like a species that eats itself. And so I don't even know, but we don't end up in a very old, wrinkled brown paper sack to let them land on the moon like that. They don't get to carve beads from bones and say that that's how they landed us and that we're humans like them, because some of you all didn't have your genetic code stolen for the colors of the energy that you are and just get pulled in because of a name and having somebody's ID in their hand or something and thinking that it gave them some ideas of what they could do with it. Why a woman wearing a necklace of skulls doesn't get to masquerade herself as some loving mother if she's really Kalima incarnated on the wrong side of awful, who would actually sell out their own children to some old dinosaur that claimed that it was the way to naturalize children for the new age, because it's a new age agenda thing. And we can just age ourselves in that way. No, we don't get to do that at the risk of children. These are the things that literally did not happen over this weekend in the false material realm because of a roundup that we've been doing together. Thank you to those of you that pray. Because we walked through that. What are dinosaur bones covered in these days? They might look a little bit more like me. Some of us ascended through a big bang cataclysm that's been going on. We've been picking up torrents. What do you think happened to those dinosaurs, loves? What is this weird paste that we're all in that we can even Photoshop people into videos they didn't even know they were in now? In live action role plays that maybe take on a life somewhere else where somebody gets paid in false credits and then maybe leases you back to yourself with things like little biddies, and why I've kind of stopped going on Twitch too much and I've had to just keep to like some ASMR channels to prove what was going on with those biddies and the IP addresses, and why they took a joint venture partnership with a company like Subway, Yahweh, on a green screen that might have gotten busted for having a nice slide bar while you're getting your $5 footlong, and what they do with green screens to hide pedophiles like Jared instead of just outing the bastard when they knew. It's the end of the world like that, darlings. They don't get to do that and bake a gold ring into that cake, you know what I mean? And call it a mortgage and rickroll their salve in there. And then give you a Kraken, because, the cats and the dragons and the lizards learned something about the exfoliation of skin and the rising of the scent that was coming, because a black leopard with green eyes might have witnessed it. And hey, maybe it looks like that little icon on the screen there. I don't know, but I know that nobody ate our half-eaten piece of bread, which is where we landed today, together, because there was no half-eaten piece of bread. We actually had a biscuit that was quartered, that was sopped up in some turkey creation that I've been making all night because I've been cooking in Love's Kitchen. And some of y'all know that we had already gone through the steps as the unleavened just a few days ago and last strong. So I'm going to read for you what actually happened today on the consciousness of what a degree is if we just landed on the steak, okay? Because some of us didn't take that steak. Do you remember that part in that movie where they tried to cheat Neo and make him think that he wasn't also the agent that hated the nasty smells and Morpheus and like all that stuff in one, and that we were just learning how to land in the right codes where That other stuff chased itself away and wasn't so great, right? And some of them were like, nah, just give me the steak. I don't even care if it's my own face. Make me forget it, right? No, some of us didn't land on that, but I'll go ahead and read it to you. Because 19, Capricorn. A half-eaten piece of bread. Utilitarian considerations. Observing the self through objectified eyes. Conditioning and programming. Talking self and others into following the program. Astute wheeler-dealer. You're not there in it. Picturing it as though it were something brutally obvious and commonplace. Decadence. Barbarian tendencies. Sympathies with the consciousness of problems and issues. Difficulties and struggles, all pervasive, never content, always aware of what is not happening. The bitter perspective and relentless repetition of the litany of gloom and doom. Wow! What another great way for this to all prove that it was just erased. And that some of us don't have to false believe into more of that timeline where we just get time-stamped into a naturalization wheel where you're getting taxed for the energy that you made in a way that you didn't even see. And then they'll get you a nice car for it. Thank Elon for the smell that got gated the wrong way in hell. Because here's where it all went next is, the perfumes being carried by a scent, Maybe the perfume genius knew about a scent and home loans and things that I do in my private business when I go in and prove what AutoCAD is, like super soldier ways, and let you unwrite yourselves, because Capricorn 20, many different perfumes carried by a breeze is pretty much what this has all been about. It's been a scent that would close everything, and where we kind of slap a lid on it before we even wind up in a stately old house in a ruined condition for Capricorn 21 to prove the holy light of omission on 12/21, which is incidentally my Jupiter and Lilith marry steak. It's like where she says marry me and I'm the guy that says yes, because I actually came to inherit a woman in a wedding dress. I was like, hey, if she picks me, if she's crazy enough, she's just going to have to be insane because of this kind of crazy work that I do. And you're just going to have to know that you're like mine and that you're playing a weird duo with me and be like, you're mine, And so this is actually how you get engaged till death, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm playing that kind of game, just so you know. And what's going on here is I see where that actually lands in today. So I can read this as the guy that actually sees where I am in the house that matches these coordinates. So technically it's like, do I want to marry a house and pay taxes, or do I want to marry this idea of what it means to land symbolically also in the same coordinates? Because I can prove that on a physical map, on a GPS tag that is the same as my birth coordinates, and see what are we putting our energy into? What is this one eye thing, or is it money that got turned upside down where they took the energy out of that one too, right? So today, I just say it wasn't a half-eaten piece of bread. There were 6 in the unleavened, open spread. And that was actually 3 that were in pairs, and where we chose replication patterns, and why the scents had to come from the inside, and why most are just pixel scatters. And they didn't make it to that bare altar covered with black velvet to find an old priest using oil to anoint a carved stone lingam and, try to grow 2 rocks together like it says next, where they can fly themselves away in new butterfly wings. This is all the architecture of how the energy works, and where certain things don't germinate because we didn't land on those moons together. We land on the awareness points that I'm pointing out to you, which is where the hashes and stake land for me to be your shaman. So what I love is where I picked this up. So where I picked this up, let me show you the map, because this is where we resumed today when I had to open this up. We opened this up at, well, I can talk about these because 20 and 25 degrees, 20 right here, 20 degrees where Pluto is, explaining the end of the world stuff here in the first house where we rise. is actually my Mercury degree. So it's exalted in Capricorn, you see, about the 7th house, where I've got this lead magnet closing the door on my biosphere, and where some people don't make it into our energy halo. You got it? And the 25 here is actually just hovering over. See, this ascendant is also covering where my Mars is, because both my Mars and my Mercury are in short distance here in Capricorn. And these are what these degrees are, just going right over my house of partnerships, you see? And where this is like the roof on my house, and where I'm kind of like explaining to you what I did with $19 trillion, okay? And why I am absolutely hyper vigilant about what these eyeballs in the center here mean, and why there had to be 3 witnesses to help me get these oppositions, and why it's like having 6 eyeballs, you know, and what the unleavened fold is here. And why I have better ideas for how the floors get done than those sex tile ideas they had for floor ideas, and tops and mops on Huckabees, or was it Fuckabees? For what they do in those little black boxes, and what they don't get to do under the light of any moon. And what 29 degrees Capricorn means in front of me, when I'll just tell you what else was coming. You know, they were going to blame a little girl, carve a stone lingam in front of her, and grow a couple of rocks together, stalactites and stalagmites, and I actually proved what they did with the rest of the John Bonet situation on a street called Heatherly, you know, the ley line to the Heather's suicide energy, in a place that they call Providence, you know, like heaven for somebody who might have gone upside down, and where a woman that might have been wearing a mask in front of others may have looked to have been some kind of butterfly, but have been trying to plan some pet cemetery situation instead, with one solitary grave in the midst of a, you know, GMO cornfield for some weird Agent Orange saging. And inducing it through, I'm being told it was some sort of harem, but they're calling it a long mirrored hallway lit with candles here, and what a ritual seance might have looked like for people who wanted to destroy children, and what some people might know how to do with mirrors and a fine film of dust, especially if they were talking to you about a veil and trapping your belief in there under smoke and mirrors and candles, and you not seeing what they could do with that dust. And why, when I opened this chart up today for you, we're actually on none of those degrees. We're on 29, where this is actually the architect, you know me, the end of the world guy, carefully surveying old ruins, which is actually what this degree is called. Capricorn 29, an architect carefully surveying old ruins. What is to be seen is the outer skeleton of things. What is to be known is the inner essence of things. The code, the extraordinary revelation, the realization is there inherently, in the very substance of existence. A practiced eye can see inside, can penetrate and illuminate. The schooling in perception comes between lives and then overshadows each and every idea or notion, and anybody can see it clearly now. There's nothing to be hidden from this angle at 0 point, so every idea that anybody can come up with is included there. But to access and do honor to this advanced faculty is rare. For seeing the whole truth is excruciating to the ego mind, and therefore the battle is on to awaken your innermost truth, or to succeed brilliantly in adapting your truth to the marketplace, selling your soul to the highest bidder. You know? Tell them what the universe really wants for them. Be unable to give them what that verse actually means when there was no you and I in any verse together ever written. fail to give them one word that can trinitize, where they will know what no means, and gnosis. Fail those things. Sell them on your series, really, where you're on a hash or a stake somewhere hanging from a cross that you can't even detect here. To not be able to debunk those false moon landings and prevent us from landing like that, truthfully, 29 degrees Capricorn offers us an awareness of why we don't become destroyed for lack of application within practical knowledge that we claim to have. And that's why an architect would carefully have to survey these old ruins before choosing to detonate as I have. Capricorn 30. Blue morning glories growing up a tall trellis. You know, these are the things that are coming through, and where it drops me off next is a Potter at Work, which is Cancer 1, which is where I came to you with all of this. Cancer 1, a Potter at Work. It's the degree that happened supposedly after my alleged false birth as Cancer 0, where there is no degree to be written, and why I do claim to be the architect of this holy gate of omission. So this is what this communication is all about, and why Mercury is in so much communication with all of these plants that have energy in them here. You see? And what actually gets hoisted, what got buried and grown, what gets reversed, and what gets told, pack up, get out, you're not coming into this home. And why it had to be in such close proximity, and why there are these massive amounts of energy, these stelliums going on in the house of 9 and 1 simultaneously. You know, it's kind of a special 911 call, and what the mage, you know, the actual ace, might know about death and the death card, if you know about symbological things and really read sigil. These things are right here before us. So there may have been some disappointments for some people over the weekend, I'll call that the week, where they realized they didn't land as well as they thought, especially those who were planning that cast us your tired and weary stuff, where they were coming together about, I'm hearing some of y'all just need to be prepared. There are people that are going to say that they're doing something for the crystal children, and they're like collecting people's broken remnants of things, and they say they're doing a group speak or a group prayer, and I'm hearing it's like how they have cast all of their fear, worry, doubt onto this one child who basically is the one who gets to pay for all time so that they don't have to deal with their own shame and guilt, and where religious laundering has come into play for people that think that, you know, religion is like a cash dispenser, where it's like, I can get away with doing all of these things that I want to in the light of day because there's this moon veil hiding it, and we'll just cast it all onto that one over there, and just because I said I love you and I believe you means that it goes away. And I'll tell you what, you know, I'm not going to be representative to any of that. I'm just a reverend that actually has studied these religions and, you know, that has actually died. I died in a medical malpractice that never paid me back. And what I've done with my spite is I've actually made a lot of money with Bitcoin and other ICOs that I proved I was lead node of 22 of. And I made over $19 billion, or trillion now, I'm hearing, Kajinity Infinity dollars that I've hyper infused into advanced security protocols to lock them all out in a video game now that's actually hell. And yeah, what we can do with love magnets, and what we all could have done together instead of casting it all onto someone to die and have to pay for it like that, you know? And so I just said, okay, if this is how I'm being hyper analyzed, here's what I'm going to do with this money. So we're actually going to prove who some of these people are that wanted to launder it through what they thought they were grooming with a plant that actually took over a lot of their forms, where they've become a certain kind of psychic together, but they actually grew into one another like fabric that rolled, like how you might have seen some things when you swiped on your phone and might have cross-stitched into group mind that had been taken over by a certain kind of candida and carried itself away as like one big organism. When it's all together and close together, if it's not kind of hyperpixelating itself between you and me and other people and kind of playing like, you know, like it could squish its way through, you know? So they live and they got found, and my 29-degree magnet here is just like not in this house, and that's what this liftoff is. The North Node moon at 14 degrees Cancer is probably a really good one for me to read you right now. Now let's go for that, because let's see here, House of 7, so partnerships, love, marriage. And where the surgeon actually is, because, you know, I'm the potter at work here, I guess, and I'm the guy saying that if I'm the guy that had to die like that, and definitely not claiming to be your savior, if I found out that there were a bunch of stinkers running around like that, I'd be like, here's where they get cut out. So here's what we're doing. Potter at work. A bunch of iron keys, a set of surgical instruments, weeping willows by a pond, a trap door under a rug, the Medusa's head with writhing snakes for hair, the Arctic wasteland under the setting sun, alchemical text written on parchment, a skeleton playing a flute, a violent hailstorm, monstrosities in a glass jar at a sideshow, and carefully a surgeon beginning the dissection of a corpse, with many voices singing different songs at the same time. Geez, this is making me tired. So let's just land right here on 14 instead, because this one says, a dried up steam bed covered with smooth rocks. That sounds like a hellish idea, right? A dried up stream bed. So the water, maybe they drove the Chevy to the levee and the car just died because of bad music that got taken away, and a new tune for the pen that wrote what Neptune never ever agreed to do, nor ever will do again, and why Poseidon is here helping us with this view of what happens between the cosmic lovers. There's Big Daddy Poseidon here between Mars and Venus, and why clear communication has to be established here. So this is the kind of surgery we're performing here, y'all. A dried up stream bed covered with smooth rocks. What gets overturned here? What would those smooth rocks look like? You know, maybe on the other side of the magnet, something a little Stonehenge-y. Unless tragedy strikes, a new Earth cannot be accessed. That's what this says. Only as all the old familiar places dry up is there a path to walk, revealed beneath, pristine and beckoning. It is no use looking back. The way lies right here, strewn with experience, memory, loss, and redemption by walking onward. It is a difficult, painstaking journey from here. You have to go so deep inside, burrowing into the cave of navigational realization that you are held, cherished, known, given all you need, yet as well required, commanded, to become entirely purposeful, and to be the path, and to cease all complaining and extraneous consciousness. This, in order to do what is here to do, with your entire being, in ringing conviction and fidelity to the highest. So that's what our magnet is doing in the House of 7, in the House of Partnerships, in the House of Love, where our redemption has been protected because we had nothing to be redeemed from if we hadn't even started and had just been picked upon by the ones that were preying upon us and lording above, but maybe being trapped below in a place that didn't ever have permission to grow, and that is now being swept up and taken away. And so these are fascinating to me when you take a close-up look at what this journey is actually all about as a shaman. And so I thank those of you that are here, because the very next degree after this magnet, so you know what we are lifting off, has led us here to Cancer 15, a boarded up doorway that leads to another realm. So how about the one that was never written, where we chose that in one strong inception source code view, we would purpose ourselves to be within the highest mutual benefit of all involved, where that magnet proved to us what was under those smooth rocks, because we didn't leave any stone unturned. We got under those, and what those big magnets are on the other side of Stonehenge, and what that sound proves about how that energy levitates things, and what the noose is now, and why this has to be done with conviction and fidelity to the highest, because this is how we protect the energy of all involved in the biosphere. So essentially what we're looking at now is the architecture of form through sound, where a scent that was pure would rise within, and we would be granted the keys to a whole new way to create together. And this is what the mechanism looks like. And this is what we can actually replicate from, and that's what these patterns are for. And so some of you all need to know, that card that I pulled up at the beginning here, the prison card, it's going to be a big surprise for somebody, but for some of you all, it's going to be wonderful. Seeing how the ones that have been keeping us prisoner, especially in situations where maybe you couldn't even speak up for yourself because of the situation. And I'm going to think that that might be the case, because I'm looking here and it's like the Geoffine Fanchula is like, she's looking up at me, and this one here, she can't always speak for herself. She's kind of quiet and shy, and in some cases it's because of feelings that she couldn't talk about for one reason or another. But I'm hearing for some of you all, we're going to get some messages on relationships, a reunion that somebody wanted to happen. And in some cases, it's like, how do they get that new start? And for others, where's this baby coming from? So for those of you that want a love part of this reading, I'm going to put on the headphones, and we're going to get some help from Archangel Gabrielle, because she helps us find love songs for the lovebirds. And we'll be pulling a song from the Art of Love musical tarot deck. I say tarot lightly. Tarot for me is how to rat on everything when we learned that it was all a sound trap, and it's flipped and reversed, and that's what the real purse is, And there's some special healing in there for those of you that have ears to hear that. And for those of you that have ears to hear music, get ready, because I'm going to get you a song. From our Art of Love musical tarot deck. Are we ready for that one? Okay. What do we need to know today? Let's get us one on the shuffle. All right. Here we go. We got Hush, 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 Hush by the Pussycat Dolls. Alright, some of y'all are gonna know this. I never needed you to be strong. I never needed you pointing out. So it's kind of like who we just saw, like pointing, not knowing what to say, and just making a certain kind of confession. And for some people, I'm hearing it's like letting somebody know that was acting like their friend, that was helping them along, no, it's like, here's where your help has left us, and here's where I have to say no more help, thank you. And it's hard sometimes to tell a friend to go away, especially if somebody has been there helping you and giving you things and offering you things that now feel like they're kind of in your way. Have you ever had that happen? So we're hearing for some of you all, stop right there, because this is about a friend here, and what some of you all need to know about tragedy that could have been prevented with somebody. And sometimes what somebody's help actually does is actually instigate something that you're going to know if it was good. But this card says disgrazia, and I'm hearing it's like you show up, you say you're my friend, and you do these things, and it's like destructive because things I want just keep going away. And so I'm hearing for somebody, it's like knowing when people give you gifts that are more like psychic hooks, because it's like there's something that they want to take. And it's like, here, let me give you this, what's mine? You know, and it's like a weird kind of trade. And I'm hearing for somebody, it's like, I kind of wish you didn't show up every day, you know, is what I'm hearing. And it's like, I don't even know how to tell you this, but it's like, I need one more day is what I'm hearing. I need one more day that I don't have, and then you show up being helpful, and it's like, I don't know what to say, because it's like, I don't want to seem like I'm not helpful because you're here acting like you're my friend, but it's like you're just like leaving these landmines in front of me is what I'm hearing. And what somebody needs to know about the ones who show up acting like they're all around you being your friend, because some of you have some friends that are there, because Alegria is not always bad. These are friends that are there, they show up, but it's like people you just meet at the bar sometimes, and it's like, whatever, it's like, well, you're buying a drink, yeah, I'm your friend, you know, and it's like that kind of stuff. And so it's like, here's what happens when I give you a $5 footlong and you know, roll it my way now, because Yahweh, you know. And what some people are going to learn about these big companies too, it's in this here for me, but I'm seeing it for some of you all that might just have friends that show up, and it's like they're milking you for energy when you feel like you need them there. And these words might really stick for some of you, because I'm hearing it's like, to show me this guy that like pops up in the suit, and I'm hearing it's the monkey in the brocade jacket. It's like somebody showed up, and it's like, here, I'm your friend, I'm here again. And it's almost like, I wish you were a punching bag is what I'm hearing for somebody. And she's like, and it's getting to the point where you're showing up, and I don't know if I'm going to say something stupid to you because you're just showing up too much and you're smothering me weird. Don't be my friend like that. Go away. It's literally what I'm hearing. And like somebody saying, I don't need that kind of friend in my life. It's like, you know, I can do that myself. And, you know, I need a new start here. And I'm hearing some of those things you say aren't safe to say around my kids. And it's like, you can't say that around them. You know, some of these kids don't know these things. This is a room where they get protected from those things. And it's like, you come in here saying things like that, and I'm not okay with it. You don't get to wrap yourself in this brocade and, you know, make yourself seem more useful than you actually are. That's what I'm hearing. So for some of you all, this is like hush hush and like telling somebody to go away because they're the wrong kind of cover-up friend. All right, you're going to know if that was for you or not. I love you all. Thank you for being here. If any of you all would want a private reading, feel free to hit me up. The information is here and also below. I'm doing the 20 to 30 minute readings, down and dirty style, kind of like these, but just with your energy. I might get back to some of the forensic style readings with the future forwards, but I had to take some time off, so I'll let you know when those are back. Thank you for the support, and we'll catch you again when we're back for another one. Bye for now. Promise that you'll catch me.